The reckoning of a heartless choice, the thunder of betrayal roared, a jagged lightning bolt ripping across the darkened sky as Eleanor Vance clutched her hospital bag, stepping into the neon-lit lobby of St. Jude's Metropolitan Hospital. She was utterly alone. A searing pain shot through her body, and fear clawed at her heart, yet she pushed forward with silent determination. Hours earlier, her billionaire husband, Marcus Bellwether, had stormed out of their penthouse, intent on chasing the thrill of an affair rather than staying by her side. Now, as thunder rumbled above her, Eleanor faced the stark reality of giving birth alone. Little did Marcus know that on this very night, this single, heart-wrenching moment would shake him to his core and force him to reconsider everything he believed important. Have you ever faced a moment where everything you thought was certain simply evaporated, leaving you utterly alone? What deep reserves of strength do you believe you'd find within yourself? Eleanor Vance wasn't born into wealth. She grew up in a modest neighborhood in London, the daughter of a history professor and a postal worker. Her life revolved around library books, secondhand clothes, and big dreams she never believed impossible, only distant. She was pragmatic, kind-hearted, and fiercely intelligent. After graduating in communications, she took a job as an events coordinator for a charitable foundation. It was there that fate brought her face-to-face with Marcus Bellwether, the charismatic billionaire heir to the Bellwether Corporation fortune. Marcus was everything she wasn't: extravagant, powerful, accustomed to opulence. Tabloids branded him a tech genius who had expanded his family's holdings from real estate to cutting-edge AI ventures. He was also famous for his elusiveness, shunning any serious relationships despite his frequent appearances at high society galas with stunning models on his arm. But to everyone's surprise, especially Eleanor's, the two formed an unlikely bond over their shared passion for philanthropy. She admired his innovative approach to solving global problems. He marveled at her empathy and sincerity. Their courtship was swift and intense. Marcus proposed just 6 months after they met, whisking her away on a weekend trip to the Scottish Highlands that ended with a sparkling ring and a tearful yes. The media covered their wedding in lavish detail, highlighting Eleanor's transition from common origins to the highest echelons of wealth. She became a darling of the society pages for her humility and warmth. However, beneath the fairy tale facade, cracks began to appear. Marcus's ambition knew no bounds. He plunged into multi-billion-dollar acquisitions, prolonged overseas business trips, and glamorous parties with top executives, celebrities, and potential investors. Meanwhile, Eleanor spent worried nights at home, longing for the man who once confided his dreams of changing the world. She believed in giving him space to pursue his dreams, never suspecting that those business dinners might involve more than just negotiations. Their arguments escalated when Eleanor discovered she was pregnant. Marcus had once promised to start a family, but now he seemed uneasy. "We're too busy," he'd say. "Oh, I'm not sure it's the right time for kids. Oh, let's not let this hold us back." The tension grew, laced with Eleanor's disappointment and Marcus's increasing coldness. He never openly admitted to infidelity, but the prolonged nights out, the perfume-scented shirts, and the whispered phone calls suggested something deeper. The night Eleanor's contractions began, she called Marcus repeatedly. He was at some exclusive penthouse party, rumored to be in the company of a wealthy socialite named Serena Hayes, known for her cunning charm and extravagant lifestyle. Eleanor's frantic calls all went to voicemail, unanswered. The pains in her belly sharpened, her breath became ragged, and fear coiled in her stomach. Gathering her courage, she hailed a taxi alone, ignoring the flash of paparazzi cameras occasionally lurking outside their building. When she arrived at St. Jude's Metropolitan Hospital, thunder rumbled above her. Rain lashed against the ambulance bay. Anxiety gnawed at her. Would Marcus come? Would she be forced to give birth to their child alone? Paramedics wheeled her in. Staff quickly moved her to the labor and delivery ward. All the while, she kept her phone clutched in her hand, waiting for a message from Marcus. But her phone remained silent. In that moment, she recognized that the promise of "we will always face life together" had shattered. The ring on her finger felt heavy, the promise meaningless without Marcus by her side. Her tears blurred the hospital corridor, mixing with the harsh overhead lights. She steeled herself, reminding the child within her that they were in this together. "Mommy's here for you, always, even if Daddy has chosen to be elsewhere." Outside St. Jude's Metropolitan Hospital, the storm intensified. Lightning crisscrossed the sky, illuminating the hospital's facade in brief, ghostly flashes. Inside, nurses in pastel scrubs hurried from room to room, guiding laboring mothers and anxious families. Eleanor, dressed in a hospital gown, was wheeled into a labor and delivery room. Her contractions had grown more frequent, each one a wave of pain threatening to overwhelm her. A kind-eyed nurse named Carmen Rodriguez introduced herself. "I'll be right by your side, darling," Carmen said warmly, placing a hand on Eleanor's shoulder. Eleanor offered a shaky smile in return, grateful for any semblance of comfort. As doctors prepared for delivery, Eleanor clutched her phone, willing it to ring. She redialed Marcus's number. This time, the call connected, but only for a moment. Through the chaos, she heard loud music, followed by static and a woman's laughter. Then the line went dead. Tears of betrayal stung her eyes. She had never felt so utterly alone. In the bellwether penthouse across town, the party raged on. Marcus was en habitué, was indeed with Serena Hayes, a sultry figure. Her sequined dress draped over his arm as they toasted some important business deal. He felt a buzzing in his pocket. Unbeknownst to him, it was Eleanor in labor. Between the pulsing bass and the swirling neon lights, he barely noticed the call, or perhaps a part of him chose not to notice. Guilt pricked at his conscience whenever he saw Eleanor's name on his screen, so ignoring the ring became a habit. He drowned his remorse in expensive champagne, letting Serena's compliments stroke his ego. Back at the hospital, Eleanor's labor progressed rapidly. Each contraction felt like she was being torn in two. Yet she refused strong medication, determined to remain lucid for her baby's arrival. The memory of her father's gentle breath echoed in her mind. "Stay strong, sweetheart. Life's storms are temporary." That was what he had always told her when she faced adversity as a child. And now, this was the biggest storm of her life. Around midnight, the city's power grid flickered under the strain of the storm. Hallway lights dimmed momentarily. Emergency generators kicked in, bathing the ward in a soft glow. Carmen Rodriguez and the obstetrician, Dr. Sophia Davis, assured Eleanor they would handle any complications. She felt through the haze of pain her hair plastered to her forehead with sweat. Despite the heartbreak, Eleanor found solace in the miraculous process unfolding. She was about to become a mother, a guardian of new life. The thought emboldened her. "I'll do anything for you, little one," she thought, tears mixing with sweat. "I don't need him if he won't be here. We'll be fine." The hours blurred. Nurses and doctors came and went, their voices a comforting murmur. Finally, near dawn, Eleanor felt the irresistible urge to push. Gritting her teeth, she followed Dr. Davis's instructions. It was an exhausting, all-consuming effort, but fueled by a fierce love. With one last push, She heard her baby's small, plaintive cry, a sound that shattered her heart and rebuilt it all at once. Exhausted, tears streaming, she looked down as the nurse placed a fragile newborn in her arms. The baby's features were scrunched in protest at the sudden brightness. A cascade of emotion overwhelmed Eleanor. She expected Marcus to burst through the door at that very moment, realize his mistake, and fall to his knees in repentance. But the door remained closed. There was only the hospital's silence and her child's soft whimper. She pressed her lips to the baby's damp forehead, whispering a promise. "I promise to love you enough for both of us." And for the first time that night, despite the storm and the heartbreak, Eleanor felt a fierce surge of hope. Do you believe Marcus will truly regret his actions? Or is his ego too big to break? Leave your comments below. The next morning dawned gray and hazy. Storm clouds lingered like an unwanted guest. Marcus Bellwether woke with a throbbing headache, his mind blurred from too many glasses of champagne. He found himself sprawled on a leather lounge chair in the corner of the penthouse living room, the aftermath of the party strewn around him. Empty bottles, half-eaten canapes, and confetti littered the floor. Serena Hayes stirred on a nearby sofa, looking at Marcus with a smirk. She rose gracefully, though her hair was disheveled. "Morning, handsome," she purred, but Marcus barely registered her. His eyes drifted to the mantel clock. 8:12 a.m. A sense of dread clutched his stomach. He vaguely remembered Eleanor's calls last night. His phone was nowhere in sight. Serena, sensing his distraction, pouted. "Don't tell me you're going back to your little wifey." The words, tinged with jealousy and contempt, struck a nerve. Marcus mumbled something incoherent, brushing her off as he searched through the mess for his phone. He finally found it in the kitchen, face down on the marble counter. The screen showed multiple missed calls from Eleanor, plus messages from an unknown number. "Eleanor's in labor. Where are you? And call St. Jude's Metropolitan Hospital immediately." His blood ran cold. Stomach churning, he scrolled further, seeing a final message from Nurse Carmen Rodriguez. "Delivered around 5 a.m. Mother and baby stable. She's been asking for you." A wave of panic washed over him. He had missed his child's birth, the child he had once promised Eleanor he was ready for, despite his doubts. Suddenly, Serena's presence felt suffocating. The entire night, a nightmare of self-indulgence. "I have to go," he muttered, grabbing his jacket. Serena smirked, leaning against the kitchen island. "Sure, go be a hero, but don't expect everything to be forgiven so easily," she added, a sultry laugh that sounded hollow to him. Marcus didn't reply. He bolted out the door, adrenaline surging. The drive to St. Jude's Metropolitan Hospital was a blur. He sped through the wet streets, ignoring honking cars, cursing himself for letting his life spiral into reckless partying. Anxiety gnawed at him. How could I let this happen? What if Eleanor hates me now? What about my son? When he arrived at the hospital, his shirt was rumpled and his eyes bloodshot. The bright fluorescent hallways felt discordant compared to the darkness of his remorse. He rushed to the maternity ward, heart pounding, breath ragged. A nurse recognized him. "Mr. Bellwether?" she asked. Marcus nodded frantically. "Your wife is in room 342. She delivered a healthy baby a few hours ago." Relief collided with shame as he took it in. The nurse's tone hinted at disapproval, and he couldn't blame her. Steeling himself, he moved down the hallway, each step echoing with guilt. Stopping outside the door, he clenched his fists. He wasn't ready to face Eleanor's anger or heartbreak, but he had no choice. "I can't undo last night, but I can show up now," he told himself, though his confidence wavered. With a shaky sigh, he pushed the door open. Inside, Eleanor lay in bed, looking exhausted but radiant, with a postpartum glow. Her eyes lifted to meet his, a swirl of emotions there. Pain, anger, relief, exhaustion. In her arms, a tiny bundle stirred, a single whimper breaking the silence. Marcus stood motionless, swallowing hard. This was the moment he had missed, the child's first breath, the miracle he should have witnessed. And now, all he had was regret. Marcus stood at the threshold, an observer in his own family's reality. Eleanor stared at him, silent, as the newborn let out a soft whimper. He took a tentative step forward, but she lowered her gaze to the child, shielding the baby from his approach. That subtle movement hurt him more than any words. "Eleanor," he began, his voice raw. "I am so sorry. Are you both okay?" She didn't reply immediately. The tension in the room crackled. Finally, she spoke, her tone fragile with exhaustion. "We are fine, thanks to the nurses and doctors who were here." Each syllable stung him like a wasp. He took another step forward. "I got the messages too late. I was drunk. I messed up." The flimsy excuses felt heavier in the air than he intended. Eleanor's eyes flashed with anger. "You were with her, weren't you, Serena Hayes? The tabloids have been buzzing for weeks, but I never wanted to believe it." Her breathing was unsteady, likely from a mix of postpartum fatigue and emotional agitation. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. Guilt churned in his stomach. "Eleanor, it's complicated. Nothing physical. It was just... I was fooling myself. She was just a distraction." "A distraction from what? From me? From our child?" Eleanor's voice trembled. Tears threatened to spill. "You promised to be here for us. Instead, you left me to give birth alone." Marcus's heart hammered. He dared to look at the baby, who whimpered softly in Eleanor's arms. The tiny face was a perfect blend of them both. Soft cheeks, a tuft of dark hair. Something in him shifted at the sight, a feeling he had never before experienced. Pure, unfiltered love, and a deep sense of shame. Cautiously, he moved closer. "Can I hold him?" he whispered, not even sure of the baby's gender or name, because he had missed it all. Eleanor hesitated. She looked at him, the pain in her eyes palpable. Then, with a sigh that held both resignation and a yearning for a father's presence in the child's life, she gently handed him the baby. Marcus cradled the newborn, his hands trembling. The baby's eyes fluttered open. A swirling pool of innocence stared back at him. A knot formed in his throat. "It's a girl," Eleanor murmured, her voice softening as she watched him. "She was born at 5:07 a.m. I named her Sophia." "Sophia," he repeated, his heart aching. The warmth of the baby against his chest felt almost sacred. He couldn't stop the tears from welling. "She's perfect." For a brief moment, the two parents shared a fragile truce, united by the awe of their new daughter. But reality quickly broke through. Eleanor's expression hardened. "Hold her carefully," she said, her tone laden with frustration. "Because I won't let you hurt her like you hurt me." Marcus looked at Sophia, holding back tears. He had never felt so ashamed. How could he possibly pretend to be a father now, after missing the most important moment of their lives? "I won't, I promise," he whispered, his voice cracking. "I'll do anything to fix this, for both of you." Eleanor reached out, taking the baby back into her protective embrace. She looked at him with wary eyes. "You have a long way to go to prove that, Marcus. Don't expect me to believe your words, not after everything you've done." The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. Marcus felt that silence press down on him, reminding him that no wealth or power could fix what was broken. Only time, honesty, and an unwavering commitment could repair it, if anything could. Do you think Eleanor should forgive Marcus? Or are some things simply unforgivable? Tell us your opinion in the comments. The day wore on, filled with postpartum checks, visits from hospital staff, and Eleanor's occasional attempts to rest. Marcus remained in the room, though he felt he had no right to. Every time he moved closer to Eleanor or little Sophia, a wall of hurt and distrust blocked him. Yet, leaving felt worse, an admission that he was incapable of supporting his family. So he stayed, offering water, fresh pillows, or any small gesture that might help. Late in the afternoon, a visitor arrived. Carmen Rodriguez, the nurse who had witnessed Eleanor's solitary labor, appeared with a small bouquet of lilies. "How's our new mom doing?" Carmen asked kindly, placing the flowers on a bedside table. Eleanor managed a tired smile. "We're adjusting. Thank you for everything last night." Carmen nodded. She then cast a cautious glance at Marcus. She recognized him from his frantic arrival that morning. "I'll give you some privacy," she said, excusing herself discreetly. Marcus felt the nurse's unspoken judgment as tangibly as the stale hospital air. Outside, reporters and paparazzi swarmed the hospital entrance, hungry for a glimpse of the bellwether baby. Marcus's father had been a prominent figure in the business world, and any news concerning the bellwether heir was headline-worthy. Eleanor, however, refused to let the cameras near her daughter. She had security inform the press that she and the baby needed rest, but there was no guarantee they would retreat. Marcus's phone buzzed incessantly with calls from his PR team, demanding statements and clarifications about the birth. He ignored them, focusing on Eleanor and Sophia. In the quiet corners of the hospital, the humming machines and whispering voices reminded Marcus of how fragile life was. He remembered meeting Eleanor at a charity event for Eastern European orphans. With what passion she had spoken about children's welfare. He had been captivated by her sincerity, yet over time he had let ambition and a desire for thrill overshadow that purity. How did I become this man? He wondered. A phone call finally broke the silence. Serena Hayes' name, blinking on the screen, made Marcus's stomach twist. He rejected it without hesitation. Eleanor noticed the movement. Her eyes narrowed. "Go on. Answer it. Isn't that your priority?" she asked bitterly. "No," Marcus said firmly, setting his phone aside. "I'm done with that. I swear." Silence. Eleanor's gaze settled on Sophia, who slept peacefully in her arms. "You're done with her? Really?" He nodded. "Yes, I was lost. Serena was an escape from the pressures I felt. But it's no excuse. I never meant to betray you like that, Eleanor." Eleanor let out a shaky breath. "You didn't just betray me. You betrayed everything we believed in, every promise we made. You left me alone to face the most terrifying moment of my life." Marcus found no words to justify himself. Instead, he whispered, "I regret it more than you can imagine." The tension in the room thickened. Then little Sophia stirred, letting out a soft whimper. Instinctively, Eleanor soothed the newborn, pulling her closer. Marcus's heart twisted at the sight, yearning to hold his daughter and being painfully aware of how unworthy he was. "I need time, Marcus," Eleanor murmured, rocking the baby. "Don't pressure me to forgive you. Right now, all that matters is my baby's health. You can stay, but keep your distance unless I ask you. Do you understand?" He nodded, his voice hoarse. "Yes, of course." A nurse entered with postpartum advice and instructions for baby care. Marcus stepped aside, feeling like an intruder in a scene that should have been joyful. He yearned to rewind time, to hold Eleanor's hand during labor, to witness Sophia's first cry in real time. But regret was a currency that couldn't buy a second chance. All he could do was stay, burdened with his own remorse, hoping that someday his presence could help instead of harm. The news of Sophia Bellwether's birth spread like wildfire. Within hours, media outlets headlined billionaire Marcus Bellwether's secret hospital visit. Speculative articles dissected Eleanor's background, retelling her rags-to-riches story. Some tabloids even hinted at Marcus's alleged affair with Serena Hayes, framing the newborn's arrival as a potential catalyst for scandal. Paparazzi camped outside St. Jude's Metropolitan Hospital, day and night, photographing any figure remotely resembling Marcus or Eleanor. Inside the hospital, staff did their best to shield the new mother and baby from the frenzy. Security personnel patrolled the hallways, turning away unauthorized visitors. A sense of claustrophobia washed over Eleanor. All she wanted was some peace, to bond with her daughter and breastfeed in quiet. But flashing cameras and intrusive questions lurked every time she ventured near a window. Marcus also felt the stifling presence of the media. He received calls from his PR manager, who insisted on releasing an official statement. "You can't stay silent," the manager urged over the phone. "Investors want reassurance that your personal life won't destabilize Bellwether Corporation. People are worried about your mental state." He sighed, leaning against a vending machine in the hospital hallway. "I'll draft something soon. Right now, my priority is my daughter." "Do it soon," the manager pressed. "We can't let rumors about your affair overshadow this moment." Hanging up the phone, Marcus looked at the vending machine's neon glow. He realized it. The image he had cultivated for years as a shrewd businessman, a philanthropic prodigy, and a rising star was crumbling under the weight of moral failure. "What's the point of success if my personal life is in ruins?" he thought bitterly. When he returned to Eleanor's room, he found her scrolling through her phone, a grim expression on her face. She looked up, her eyes watery. "They're calling me the naive wife, replaced by a more glamorous mistress," she said, her voice trembling. "Why can't they just let me heal in peace?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "I'll handle it. I'll issue a statement clarifying everything. No mention of Serena, no mention of scandal. Just the truth about you and Sophia." She tossed her phone onto the sheets. "And what is the truth, Marcus? That you left me to give birth alone because you were partying with another woman? Or do you plan to spin it into something noble?" Her tone dripped with sarcasm. He rubbed his temples. Regret hammered at him. "I can never spin it into something good, but perhaps I can shield you from the worst of it. Let me try." Eleanor swallowed hard. Her exhaustion was evident. "Do what you must, but don't pretend I condone any of this. My priority is Sophia's well-being. If your statement helps keep the paparazzi away from us, fine. But don't expect me to lie for you." A moment of silence weighed between them. He studied the dark circles under her eyes, the slump of her shoulders. Her postpartum state was already exhausting enough without a media circus. He gently tried to take her hand, but she pulled away. "Please," she whispered, tears spilling. "I need space." He retreated, nodding. In that moment, he recognized how alien he had become to her. They once shared midnight laughs and confessions. Now the only thing connecting them was a beautiful baby girl and the memory of what might have been. Marcus left the room in silence, determined to draft a statement that would at least protect Eleanor from further pain, if not himself. Marcus released a brief public statement within hours. It read, "I, Marcus Bellwether, am pleased to announce the birth of my daughter, Sophia. My wife, Eleanor, is recovering well. We request privacy as we welcome this new chapter of our family life." He avoided any mention of Serena Hayes or his personal failings. The tabloids, hungry for scandal, read between the lines. running parallel articles hinting at marital woes and a potential reconciliation or split on the horizon. While the statement did mitigate some of the media frenzy, it did little to calm Eleanor's bruised soul. She spent 2 more days in the hospital, recovering. Marcus remained in the background, helping in small ways, bringing clean clothes, dealing with security so she could rest. Yet each time he tried to speak, she would close her eyes or feign interest in the baby, effectively shutting him out. Upon her discharge, Eleanor insisted on returning to their penthouse because it was, legally, as much her home as his. Marcus worried it would be too stressful for her, but she insisted, wanting Sophia to have a stable environment. So they rode the elevator up to the marble foyer that had once felt like a dream to her. Now it was a gilded cage filled with bitter memories. The house staff offered hushed congratulations, avoiding direct eye contact. Rumors of Marcus's betrayal had circulated among them, creating a tense atmosphere. Eleanor thanked them politely, holding Sophia close. Exhausted from the car ride, she retreated to the master bedroom, one she and Marcus used to share. Marcus, sensing her desire for solitude, moved his belongings to a guest suite. That night, after Sophia finally drifted to sleep, Eleanor sat on the luxurious bed, her mind racing. She remembered a simpler time when Marcus would surprise her with candlelight dinners or whisk her away to a cozy cottage in the mountains. She had believed in their love wholeheartedly. Now, that trust lay in tatters. Tears slipped down her cheeks. All she had left was a mother's fierce determination to protect her daughter. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Marcus poked his head in, an apologetic expression on his face. "Eleanor, can we talk?" She exhaled, too tired to argue. "Fine. Just keep your voice down. Sophia's asleep." He entered. His eyes flicked to the sleeping infant in the bassinet. A tender look crossed his face before he turned back to Eleanor. "I know I don't deserve your time, but I need you to understand. I love Sophia, and I love you." She crossed her arms, bracing herself. "You have a strange way of showing it." He winced. "I've been a fool. I let myself get carried away with business, with events, with empty thrills. Serena, she was never important, just an illusion that fed my ego." He swallowed. His voice trembled with remorse. "I want to fix this. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Therapy, stepping back from some business responsibilities, a vow never to see Serena again. Anything to earn your forgiveness." Eleanor studied him, her eyes glassy with unshed tears. "Marcus, words aren't enough. You missed your daughter's birth. That moment will never happen again." Her voice broke. "Do you know how alone and scared I felt in that hospital? Thinking you would choose me and your daughter over any fling. But you didn't." A tear slipped down Marcus's cheek. His composure crumbled. "I know, and it tears me apart. Please, just give me a chance to show you I can be better." Silence stretched, punctuated by the soft hum of the air conditioning. Finally, Eleanor sighed. "I won't promise anything. We can start with you taking on responsibilities for Sophia. Diaper changes, night feedings, pediatrician visits. If you truly care, prove it by being a real father." He nodded vigorously. Relief washed over him. "I will. Thank you." She turned away. Her voice trembled. "Don't thank me yet, Marcus. This is for Sophia's sake. As for us, that's another matter entirely. What would you do in Eleanor's shoes? Would you give Marcus another chance? Share your thoughts." In the following days, Marcus attempted to make good on his promise to become an involved father. He woke at ungodly hours to feed Sophia expressed breast milk from a bottle, learning to cradle her tiny form and soothe her cries. At first, he was clumsy, accidentally mixing formula too hot, fumbling with diapers. but each mistake only fueled his determination to improve. He discovered a profound sense of peace in the dead-of-night moments, holding Sophia against his chest as she dozed. Eleanor observed these efforts from a cautious distance. Part of her admired Marcus's newfound dedication. He seemed almost unrecognizable from the arrogant socialite who once left in the dead of night to attend exclusive parties. But her heart remained guarded. Every warm emotion was met with the memory of giving birth alone. Meanwhile, the outside world refused to let them heal in silence. Paparazzi clamored for updates, and gossip columns speculated about the stability of their marriage. Serena Hayes, wounded by Marcus's sudden cutoff, gave cryptic interviews hinting at damaging information she held about Bellwether Corporation. The Bellwether family's lawyers scrambled to quell potential leaks, further straining the couple's relationship under the weight of scandal. One morning, as Eleanor finished nursing Sophia, she found Marcus pacing near the floor-to-ceiling windows, with his phone pressed to his ear. His tone was tense. "No, we can't just pay her off again," he said, exasperated. "She wants attention, not just money. We need a different strategy." Sighing, he ended the call, turning to see Eleanor's worried gaze. "Is it Serena?" she asked dryly. He nodded. "She's threatening to go public with accusations, some about our private life, others about business deals she overheard. My legal team is working on it, but it's complicated." Eleanor held firm. "I don't want to be part of your PR fiasco. If she leaks details of your affair, so be it. I'm done protecting your reputation." Marcus winced. "I understand. I'm not asking you to protect me, but her claims could impact Sophia's future. I worry about the negativity that could surround us, the rumors, the legal battles. I'm trying to contain the damage." Eleanor rocked Sophia gently, the baby's eyes fluttering. "You should have thought of that before. Now all we can do is be honest. If the world sees the truth, maybe it will push you to truly follow through. No more illusions." He stepped closer, looking at the baby with a hopeful smile. "I'm prepared to face the consequences. My main focus is you two. I want us to be a family again." She swallowed hard. "A family isn't just about you wanting it. It's about trust, day in and day out. That trust is shattered." He looked at Sophia's tiny hands, and then at Eleanor. "I'm not giving up." The sincerity in his eyes was clear, yet the pain between them remained a formidable barrier. Just then, the penthouse elevator chimed, announcing the arrival of Marcus's mother, Lady Evelyn Bellwether, a distinguished woman known for her philanthropic work. She stepped out, her posture rigid with concern, carrying a gift basket overflowing with baby essentials. "I heard about the chaos," Lady Evelyn said softly, crossing to Eleanor and giving her a kiss on the cheek. She then turned to the baby, her eyes warm. "She's beautiful. You must be exhausted, darling." Eleanor nodded politely, and Marcus stepped aside, letting his mother dote on her granddaughter. The tension in the room lessened to a fraction, overshadowed by Lady Evelyn's quiet presence. But even as love and support poured in, the question lingered. Could Marcus truly redeem himself? The bassinet might be filled with clean blankets and plush toys, and staff might attend to every postpartum need, but no one could buy back the moment he abandoned Eleanor in her most vulnerable moment. Only time and unwavering consistency would reveal if fatherhood would be Marcus's saving grace, or simply another fleeting facade. The tension remained in the Bellwether Corporation boardroom, weeks after Sophia's birth. Marcus, still reeling from the scandal, struggled to focus on company matters. Rumors swirled among senior executives that the scandal involving Serena Hayes could trigger a shareholder crisis. Bellwether Corporation, built on a foundation of trust and family values, now faced scrutiny from investors uneasy about the CEO's personal entanglements. During a crucial meeting, Marcus's mother, Lady Evelyn Bellwether, attended as a special advisor. She had once presided over philanthropic initiatives for the company and remained an influential figure. Several board members looked at Marcus with skepticism as he presented a new AI project. Though brilliant, his credibility had been tarnished. As the meeting progressed, it became clear that a faction of board members favored a temporary change in leadership until Marcus's personal drama subsided. Lady Evelyn stood, commanding attention with her regal posture. "I understand the concerns, but remember, Bellwether Corporation has weathered storms before. My son is committed to rectifying his errors. However, we must also ensure stability for our shareholders. A potential solution might involve appointing an interim chief operating officer who can share responsibilities so Marcus can focus on resolving these personal matters." Marcus stiffened. He had expected pushback, but the suggestion that he needed help stung his pride. Still, he saw a photo on the wall, a portrait of his late father holding him as a child. The reminder of fatherhood brought back the new chapter he had started with Sophia. Perhaps a step back was necessary for the sake of his company and his family. After the meeting, Lady Evelyn approached him privately. "I'm proud of how you've been caring for Eleanor and Sophia," she said softly. "But your employees need unwavering leadership. If this scandal intensifies, your personal brand could hurt our stock. Consider a temporary co-leadership model." Marcus sighed, rubbing his temples. "I never wanted to share control, but you're right. I can't let my mess drag everyone down. If stepping aside for a while helps the company, I'll do it." That night, he returned to the penthouse, exhausted. Eleanor was in the nursery, singing softly to Sophia. The moment diffused some of his tension, reminding him that the world outside these walls mattered less than this tiny family. If only he could keep them together. He cleared his throat softly not to startle her. "Hello." She looked over her shoulder. "Hello. You look tired." He managed a thin smile. "Board meetings are draining. They're suggesting I reduce my role. It seems shareholders are nervous about me." Eleanor's expression was unreadable. "I'm not surprised. You've been distracted by everything." He nodded, stepping closer to the bassinet. "I think I'll do it. I'll agree to a co-leadership arrangement. It will free me up to focus on you and Sophia." For a fleeting moment, Eleanor's eyes softened, perhaps even with gratitude. "That's a step in the right direction, but I don't want you to give up your ambitions. Just handle them responsibly." His heart warmed at her concern, however small. "I will," he promised, gently caressing Sophia's cheek with the back of his finger. "I'm learning what truly matters." In that silence, they shared a tacit understanding. If Marcus could prove his sincerity, balancing fatherhood and corporate duties responsibly, perhaps the rift between them could be mended. But for now, the power shifts at Bellwether Corporation mirrored the uncertain state of their marriage. Both in flux, both seeking stable ground. What sacrifice do you think is the hardest to make for love? Share your opinion. Despite Marcus's efforts to stabilize his personal and professional life, Serena Hayes was not one to exit quietly. Resentful and emboldened by tabloids eager for sensational headlines, she arranged a tell-all press conference in a luxurious downtown hotel suite. Rumors hinted that she would reveal incriminating details about Marcus's alleged misconduct, both personal and financial. As word spread, Bellwether Corporation's stock plummeted almost instantly. Marcus's phone lit up with panicked messages from board members. Meanwhile, Eleanor read the article in the morning paper and felt a surge of dread. The headline blared, Serena Hayes speaks the truth behind Marcus Bellwether's betrayal. That night, Marcus paced the penthouse living room, phone in hand, calling lawyers and PR managers. Eleanor sat on the sofa, holding a dozing Sophia. The tension in the air was palpable. She was torn between wanting to distance herself from the scandal and a quiet, persistent urge to protect Marcus for the sake of her daughter's future. Lady Evelyn Bellwether joined them, stepping out of the private elevator in a whirlwind of perfume and concern. "I just spoke with a friend in the media," Lady Evelyn announced. "Serena is threatening to show photos from that night, possibly messages that imply you gave her insider information about business moves." Marcus swore under his breath. "Insider trading? That's insane. I would never jeopardize the company that way. She's lying." Lady Evelyn raised an eyebrow. "Perhaps, but the damage from accusations alone could be enough to cause a crisis. We must discredit her claims quickly." Eleanor, feeling dread in her stomach, stood up. "I cannot live in constant scandal, and if she drags me into this geek, claims anything about me or Sophia." Marcus moved closer, his voice urgent. "I won't let that happen. I will hold a counter press conference. I'll address any accusations head on. I'll present financial records that prove there was no insider trading. As for her personal claims, I will confess my lapse in judgment." No point hiding. The moment was surreal. The idea of publicly confessing his mistakes to quell a scandal. But Marcus had no other option. If Serena's accusations gained traction, he could face legal repercussions and lose the company. More importantly, he could forever taint the future he hoped to rebuild with Eleanor and Sophia. The next day, as Serena's press conference approached, the Bellwether PR team arranged a live broadcast from Bellwether Corporation headquarters. Cameras were set up in the main atrium. Employees whispered anxiously. Marcus stood at a podium, flanked by lawyers. His mother, Lady Evelyn, stood discreetly in the background. Eleanor watched from home, cradling Sophia in her arms, her heart pounding for what he might say. At noon, Serena Hayes took the stage at a lavish hotel, launching into dramatic monologues about Marcus's broken promises and hinting at financial improprieties. The press devoured every word. But halfway through, a producer switched the live feed to Marcus's simultaneous statement. His face was pale, but resolute. "I acknowledge a personal failing," he said, his voice steady into the microphone. "I engaged in an inappropriate relationship with Ms. Hayes. I deeply regret the pain this caused my wife, Eleanor, and the potential harm to my company. However, any claims of insider trading or illegal financial practices are baseless lies. Today, our lawyers will present proof that Ms. Hayes never had access to sensitive data, nor was any leaked to her." He paused, swallowing hard. "I betrayed my marriage, but I will not betray the trust of our shareholders or the integrity of my daughter's future. That is where I draw the line." His words, raw and direct, stunned the media. The Q&A session crackled with tension, but Marcus maintained his composure. Meanwhile, Serena's press event faltered. Reporters either switched channels or demanded she produce proof, which she lacked. Her dramatic claims fizzled, overshadowed by Marcus's confessional honesty and the organized data Bellwether Corporation presented. At home, Eleanor watched, tears streaming down her face. She felt a complicated swirl of emotions, anger at being publicly humiliated, but also a hesitant admiration for Marcus's courage in facing it head-on. She gently kissed Sophia's forehead, murmuring, "Perhaps he's starting to understand." The fallout from the dueling press conferences was swift. Serena Hayes' credibility crumbled, as no tangible evidence supported her insider trading accusations. While she managed to spin the story into a poor me narrative about heartbreak, the corporate scandal angle fizzled. Reporters shifted focus to Marcus Bellwether's public contrition and the revelations about his affair, effectively turning Serena from a cunning villain into a footnote in a complicated love triangle. Bellwether Corporation's stock stabilized once the board affirmed there was no legal wrongdoing. Shareholders, initially rattled, appreciated Marcus's willingness to be transparent. Still, the entire ordeal left a stain on the Bellwether brand. Marcus recognized that trust, both public and private, wouldn't be rebuilt overnight. At their penthouse, life settled into a cautious routine. Marcus receded from daily operations, letting the interim COO handle business expansions. He dedicated more time to fatherhood, learning to swaddle Sophia and hum lullabies that sometimes ended off-key. Eleanor allowed him these moments, observing from a distance. Her heart remained bruised, but each time she watched him cradle their daughter with genuine warmth, a tiny piece of her bitterness chipped away. One evening, after Sophia finally drifted to sleep, Eleanor emerged from the nursery to find Marcus sitting on the living room sofa, looking at an old photo album. It contained pictures from their early days, dates at small bistros, philanthropic galas where they first locked eyes. She hesitated in the hallway, memories flooding her. He looked up, noticing her. "I was just remembering how simple things were," he said softly, "before I let everything spin out of control." She walked closer. "I never cared about wealth or prestige, Marcus. I cared about you, but you kept chasing more, as if you couldn't be satisfied." He closed the album, his eyes glistening. "I wish I had realized sooner how fleeting those thrills were. I can't undo missing Sophia's birth. It's a regret I'll carry forever." Eleanor sighed, sitting on the edge of the sofa, maintaining space. "I appreciate how you handled Serena's claims. Being honest publicly was brave." He nodded. "It might not fix everything, but I want you to know I'm committed to doing right from now on. For you. For Sophia." The silence between them felt charged with possibilities. Eleanor toyed with the hem of her shirt. "I still need time. My trust in you is shattered, but I see you trying, and that means something." Relief flickered in his eyes. "I won't pressure you. If you prefer separate rooms, separate finances, whatever, just tell me. I'll respect it." His gaze rested on a framed wedding photo on the mantelpiece. A radiant bride and groom, naive and full of hope. The promise they made, for better or worse, echoed in his mind. Perhaps they were in the worse part now, but maybe, just maybe, there was a path forward. "I'm not ready to share a bed with you," she admitted softly. "But we can try couples therapy. We can see if there's anything left to salvage." A spark of hope lit Marcus's expression. "Whatever you need, I'll do it." In that quiet, late-night moment, a fragile agreement was reached. They would begin the slow process of healing, one step at a time, uncertain but willing. The scars of Marcus's betrayal would never fully disappear. Yet, for the sake of a tiny girl who deserved a loving home, they would attempt to rebuild. Whether it would end in full reconciliation or a peaceful co-parenting arrangement remained unknown. But both were prepared to at least seek atonement. Marcus and Eleanor began attending couples therapy once a week, entering discreetly through a side entrance at Dr. Evelyn Chase's office. The sessions were raw and sometimes painful. Eleanor's tears, Marcus's confessions. They learned to communicate feelings they had long buried. Her fear of being overshadowed by wealth, his anxiety about never being enough, despite success. Outside of therapy, Marcus continued to demonstrate his commitment. He woke early to help Eleanor prepare Sophia's bottles. He read books on parenting and stumbled through the mishaps of new fatherhood like a comical novice. Eleanor still wrestled with nightmares from that solitary night at the hospital. But seeing Marcus's unwavering presence day in and day out slowly chipped away at her resentment. One day, a Sunday, as the city buzzed with mid-morning activity, they ventured out for a stroll in Hyde Park, their first family outing since Sophia's birth. Marcus wore a baseball cap and sunglasses, hoping to deter paparazzi. Eleanor carried Sophia in a baby carrier, the infant's sleepy eyes occasionally peeking out. The park was bright with greenery, and joggers and families passed by, some recognizing them with subtle double takes. Eleanor felt a knot of tension in her stomach, expecting a paparazzo to pop out at any moment. But after a while, she realized no one was bothering them. She relaxed a little, letting the soft spring air fill her lungs. They found a quiet bench near the Serpentine Lake. Marcus gently reached for Eleanor's hand. She hesitated, then allowed it, lacing her fingers through his. The gesture felt both nostalgic and new, a tentative bridge across distance. "She has your eyes," Marcus commented, smiling down at Sophia, who cooed softly. Eleanor's lips curved into a small smile. "She has your nose." They sat in silence, content to watch the sunlight glitter on the water. For the first time since the birth, a glimmer of normalcy warmed Eleanor's heart. Marcus read her expression and squeezed her hand gently. "I've made a formal request to transfer some of my shares into a trust for Sophia," he said. "That way she'll be financially secure no matter what happens between us." Eleanor looked at him, her eyes reflecting gratitude. "You didn't have to." "I did," he interrupted, his voice firm. "I want you both to know I'm not going anywhere. If we end up separate, or if you want nothing more to do with me, Sophia's future will still be stable, and if you ever decide to let me in completely—" He trailed off, unsure how to continue without sounding pushy. Eleanor felt the weight of his sincerity. "Thank you," she whispered, holding back tears. She didn't have the energy to promise him a romantic future, but she acknowledged the depth of his atonement. He wasn't making empty promises anymore. He was backing them with tangible actions. They walked further, occasionally pausing as passers-by cooed over little Sophia. Marcus had never known such domestic contentment, even if it was fragile. Every step with her felt like a gift. He still wrestled with guilt at night, remembering the moment Eleanor dialed his number in vain. But each morning he rose, determined to be better. A father who would never abandon his daughter. A husband who might one day earn redemption. That night, returning home, they cooked dinner together for the first time in months. Sophia dozed in a bassinet, lulled by soft background music. Eleanor and Marcus found themselves laughing over an accidental flour spill, their voices echoing in a kitchen once filled with tension. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. And that, for now, felt like the greatest victory they could hope for. Months passed, carrying them from the chaos of Sophia's birth into a quieter, though still delicate routine. With therapy guiding them, Marcus and Eleanor navigated challenges and triggers. Each confrontation, an opportunity to test the fragile trust they were rebuilding. Marcus dedicated himself entirely to fatherhood, balancing corporate duties with paternal tasks, night feedings, lullabies, doctor's appointments. Eleanor admired his dedication but remained cautious. She had seen how quickly ambition and temptation could sway him. Serena Hayes, meanwhile, retreated from the public eye. A small settlement and public disinterest curbed her attempts to stoke the scandal. Bellwether Corporation found its footing under co-leadership, profits stabilized, and philanthropic initiatives continued, something Eleanor passionately supported. She occasionally helped plan charity events, proud to see Marcus championing causes that aligned with her initial dreams. One crisp autumn morning, They prepared for a press conference announcing a new initiative, a scholarship fund in Sophia's name for children from disadvantaged backgrounds. Eleanor would attend to represent the philanthropic side, while Marcus would speak on behalf of the family. The gesture symbolized not only their commitment to charity, but also a public statement of unity. In the penthouse living room, Sophia babbled happily in a high chair. Eleanor, dressed in a simple but elegant navy blue dress, adjusted a shawl on the baby. Marcus adjusted his tie, nerves on edge. "It feels unreal," he confessed. "I used to see press conferences as purely business. Now it's personal, representing our daughter's future, our marriage, everything." Eleanor nodded, her heart pounding. "I still have reservations about being in the spotlight, but if this helps more children get opportunities, it's worth it." They shared a small, genuine smile. Then, carefully, they headed to the elevator. The event took place in a grand ballroom at a 5-star hotel. A small crowd of media awaited them, though not as large as the scandal press conferences months prior. This time, the tone was positive, an announcement of hope and generosity rather than damage control. Marcus stood at the podium, clearing his throat. Eleanor held Sophia in her arms, slightly to the side. He spoke with measured conviction about the scholarship's purpose, the importance of family, and learning from mistakes. When he concluded, he introduced Eleanor, who shared a heartfelt reflection on the importance of nurturing children's potential. The applause that followed felt authentic, untainted by scandal. Afterward, a few reporters asked polite questions, mostly about the scholarship's specifics. One, however, asked Eleanor about her marriage. She glanced at Marcus, then back at the journalist. "We're taking it one day at a time," she replied. "Our focus right now is raising Sophia with love and securing a better future for children who need it." The answer shut down further inquiries. The event concluded on a warm note, with many praising the couple's philanthropic spirit. Later at home, Eleanor felt an unexpected lightness. She put Sophia in her crib for a nap. Then she walked into the living room, where Marcus stood near the window, gazing out at the city. He turned to her. "You were incredible," he murmured. She nodded, crossing her arms. "Thank you for not making it a publicity stunt." It felt genuine. They met each other's eyes. The distance between them was minimal. Slowly, Marcus took her hand. This time, she didn't pull away. "I know I've said I'm sorry countless times," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion, "but I'll say it again. Thank you for giving me a chance to be part of your life, and Sophia's." Eleanor's throat tightened. Tears gleamed. She placed a hand on his cheek, a cautious yet affectionate gesture. "I'm still healing, but I see how much you've changed, and I want us to be together again, if it's possible." In that quiet evening moment, the bustling city streets stretched far below them. The skyline glittered in the late afternoon sun. Inside the penthouse, Marcus and Eleanor stood on the precipice of a new beginning. The scars of betrayal would linger. Yes, but love and forgiveness had begun to weave their fragile tapestry. And tucked into her crib, little Sophia slept, oblivious to the complicated drama that had preceded her birth, secure in the love that had finally found its way home. The unfolding tapestry, a lesson in reconciliation. Thank you for following this emotional journey in Wife Gives Birth, alone in hospital, billionaire husband unfaithful, regrets after seeing child. This story highlights how heartbreak, infidelity, and family pressures can collide with unexpected force. It also reminds us that redemption, though hard-won, can be possible when honesty and love prevail. Eleanor's inner strength allowed her to survive the ultimate betrayal, giving birth alone, while Marcus's awakening demonstrates that neither power nor wealth can replace genuine remorse and active steps towards healing. Their story is a testament to the complicated paths of forgiveness, the fierce protection a mother has for her child, and the promise that real change can emerge from life's darkest moments. If this dramatic story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more gripping narratives about love, loss, and the resilience of the human spirit. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll continue to tune in for more powerful narratives that delve into heartbreak, hope, and the victories found along the way. Until next time, take care, and remember, every ending can lead to a new beginning.